Alright everyone, it's time for an urgent unbiased analysis since everyone's running around like chickens with their heads cut off about the Comey bullshit. If you look right now at the corporate media, you will see two totally different emerging storylines. In one, Trump forced Comey to swear an oath of loyalty and is about to be impeached. And in the other one, Comey simply told Trump, no, you're not being investigated, that his claim of being told that 3 times was true. And, of course, Trump is just fine and did nothing wrong. I'm calling bullshit on both sides because they're both half true. The truth is this, and this is what people need to know. Comey did provably and admittedly tell Donald Trump on multiple occasions he was not being investigated by the FBI. Number 2. Michael Flynn was let go of by the FBI. He was fired not because the investigation turned up any real dirty dealing, although since then we've got the Turkey bullshit. That would have been something he would have been let go of for, but because he misled Mike Pence. That is, he did nothing specifically illegal. However, at the same time, misleading the Vice President of the United States, not the greatest thing to do. By the way, at the time, I supported Flynn being gotten rid of. I stand by that. I don't think it's really a problem ultimately. He's too much of a hot potato. I mean, it wasn't even one instance. It was 2 separate instances of Flynn doing things that were at least dubious. That wouldn't look good for the administration. What possible benefit would Trump have had by keeping him around, even if he wanted Comey to back off? Number 3, Donald Trump did tell James Comey, according to James Comey, of course, yeah, I want your loyalty. However, can we keep in mind the relationship between Donald Trump and James Comey? I believe it's one that's a little bit like master and servant. That is, Trump is sort of his boss. Asking him for loyalty is hardly an impeachable offense. Asking him to back off on the Flynn investigation, likewise, is not technically impeachable. It was a request. He did not make a command in his official capacity as the President of the United States that James Comey needs to stop investigating Michael Flynn. He was not commanded to do so. He was not browbeaten into doing so. And the FBI concluded its investigation by letting Michael Flynn go because there wasn't any reason to prosecute Michael Flynn. He was forced out of his position because he misled the Vice President of the United States. Therefore, my official statement here is Donald Trump is not going to be impeached for obstruction of justice. Because according to Comey's prepared remarks that you're going to hear him say tomorrow, there is no obstruction. Trump did not force Comey to do anything. Trump did not attempt to influence Comey into doing anything explicitly. He simply asked, behind closed doors, with the only recollection of this, by the way, being Comey, being his official testimony and his memo paired with that not being near the threshold of evidence to be impeachable by any means. Trump is fine. He's going to remain in office. All of these people saying, oh, Trump is gone pretty soon, impeachment by 2018. You're kidding yourselves. Certainly about this particular incident. Now, you may look at what you would consider a brighter future and say Trump will do something eventually that's impeachable. At some point, one of these investigations will find out he colluded with Russia or something. You can beat that tired line as much as you want to, but right now, in order to have a proceeding for impeachment, you have got to have enough just cause to convince at least a minority of Republicans to impeach him. And then you have to proceed to try to remove him from office, which has an even higher threshold. The Democrats can't do that alone. Now, so far you've got John McCain, who would probably vote in favor of impeachment. That is one individual. You need more than that. He's not going to be impeached for obstruction of justice. There is no evidence he obstructed anything. Attempting to influence James Comey by making a request to him in a virtually unofficial capacity, in and of itself would be at most dubious. It would not necessarily be considered obstruction. The Republicans in Congress would never take it as such. Number 2, it's not even proof for James Comey just to simply claim it and say, yeah, I wrote it down in a memo. Number 3, James Comey's word as far as Trump's fans go is worth now less than dirt. because all of the right-wing segments of even the corporate media are harping on something totally different, which is that Comey never made memos about his chats with Obama, thereby making it a partisan issue. See, this is what has happened time and time again. Now, I don't think Trump did anything wrong, but just arguing devil's advocate here, if you wanted to keep a politician accountable, public opinion, while it doesn't play a legal role, does play a social role paired with that. You have to have some degree of public whim on your side in order to maneuver. Otherwise, you risk severe social alienation. It could cause violence. It could cause crime. It could cause it could cause revolution or civil war. People that are in a judicial or legislative capacity, they care about these things. I'll tell you who else cares. The Republicans aren't going to face off against Trump without a very, very good reason, because he's a Republican. They don't want to wear the scarlet letter of turncoat, essentially, the scarlet T. A lot of Democrats won't go after him either. If they are vulnerable and in potentially red districts where they're looking at a messy re-election bid, especially within the Senate, they're not going to do bullshit. They'll speak out against Trump and say, oh yes, I think this is regrettable, but they're not going to actually attempt to vote for impeachment if they know that they're going to lose. They're not going to pull what the Republicans did with Bubba Bill. It'd be suicide. The Democratic Party is already weak enough as is without leadership and looking forward to a race where they have to win, something like 20 Senate seats in order to stand even a chance of retaking the Senate. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to go against the will of all the Republicans. They'd need a significant number of them in the House on board to impeach Donald Trump. It's not going to happen. Donald Trump was not being investigated by the FBI, number one. Did not, in a legal sense at least, obstruct justice, number two. And number three, Michael Flynn, he was let go of because he misled Mike Pence. The FBI didn't really have a problem with what he had done. Dubious, yes, but dubious is not illegal. Dubious things happen in Washington, D.C. all the time. If we followed up every dubious dealing in Washington and removed people from office because it seemed like they were guilty, there wouldn't be a whole lot of people in Washington, D.C. now, would there? There wouldn't be many Republicans, there wouldn't be many Democrats. Hell, there wouldn't even be many independent individuals. There certainly wouldn't be many bureaucrats. There probably wouldn't be any. So Donald Trump's not going to get impeached for this. James Comey will go before Congress, he'll testify, he'll say the same fucking shit, and it'll be boring. It'll literally be a nothing burger. Hate to use that term. Of course, the left used to use that as propaganda with the Hillary Clinton stuff. I can remember Media Matters and Correct the Record were fond of that term. They used it on 4chan and on YouTube all the time. And there's no other term to use, though, for it. It's literally nothing. Comey confirmed to Trump he wasn't even being investigated. That bears out what Trump said in the Comey firing. And, by the way, while we're on the subject of James Comey in the first place, keeping in mind, of course, Comey's weird dealings with the Hillary Clinton case that pissed off half the left. He doesn't have any allies. A lot of these Democrats, they would rather just ignore James Comey, I think, half the time than even bother going after Trump. They're probably still convinced it's a good thing if Trump's in office because his approval is below 50%. Oh, somehow it'll be magically easy in 2020 as long as Trump doesn't get impeached. Dealing with Mike Pence would be harder. So that's the same sort of logic, by the way, that sunk them in the election. A lot of these people, a lot of partisan Democrats say, oh, Trump will be easy to beat. We should be rooting for him. I hope Trump wins because look at him. He's crazy. We really fear like Ted Cruz or maybe Marco Rubio or certainly a Rand Paul. We're not afraid of Trump. Oh, he'll go down easy. And they set themselves up for failure for months and months and months. Of course, they were wrong. And the handful of people that actually said, no, you shouldn't underestimate him, we were right. You still shouldn't underestimate him for 2020. That being said, there's no legal procedure by which you can impeach somebody for making a request of the director of the FBI. It's an informal request. And the only person claiming it was even had was James Comey. Saying in a memo, his memo, you can admit the FBI director's memo is de facto evidence, but it's not nearly at the threshold needed to remove the President of the United States from office. You're talking, if you were going to remove a janitor, you'd probably want more evidence than that. Oh, James Comey said that the janitor smelled funny and he was really fucking tired of dealing with him. Thought he stole some of his $1,000 gold-plated ballpoint pens that he got from the State Department or something. You know, maybe we should get rid of him. I don't even think it would suffice for that. Stop deluding yourselves into thinking that Trump is magically going to disappear. This is the Democrats' problem in the election. It's going to be funny watching all these people suffer, because after the testimony, when impeachment proceedings don't begin, what are you going to say? And that's my prediction. No impeachment. They won't even hold proceedings. They're going to take one look at what James Comey says and say, how is any of this fundamentally new? And they're going to ignore it. The Republicans will re-solidify. Trump will continue to stagger on to do whatever he wants to do. Hopefully he passes tax reform. That'd be a positive thing. Otherwise, right now, he is, admittedly, in a bit of a lull. He's not doing much right now. He is playing a bit more golf than I would advise him to play. And then you have the yellow journalism tales. Oh, he's gaining weight and socially withdrawing because he's so depressed that nobody likes him. Bullcrap. Utter complete nonsense. Who's that coming from? What's your source on that story? So, yeah, literally the janitor in that case, probably. The janitor that cleans the wing Trump never visits. Or something like that. He's not going to be impeached. No, it's not going to happen. That's about all. Peace out.